death and dying. This is a very avoided and ignored and even fearing subject to talk about, to discuss, because many people just I know this topic, and they rather live on the illusion that they will live forever, and unfortunately they only come to senses when someone dear to us pass away, or even when we are in the brink of death, then we come to terms with this reality, which is something unavoidable, because death and life is just a singular line, something interchangeable. It's something that cannot be avoided. It's something that you can hide, but you cannot run from. The death of a loved one is perhaps the hardest thing to cope with. Sadness, guilt about our bad behavior, and remorse about unexpressed feelings are the most common feelings encountered when a loved one dies. Yeah, if you have a guilty feeling, yeah. However, um, the psychopath, the person who is so engrossed in their daily living, in their ego, in their well-being, or in their own pain, they do not feel anything when even a loved one passed away. You see, this person is so engrossed, is so immersed in their life, the illusion, at least the illusion of their life on this body, that even when someone dear to them passes away, they do not care. They bury, and tomorrow they go about, do their daily things, living for their bodies, eating, procreate, having sex, and enjoy, work, make money, and that's it. They do not care. Nowadays, people not even caring for their living. How in the world would they ever stop to think about their death and their own immortality? Hmm? If you don't care for your mother, your father, your grandparents when they are alive, why would you care when they die? And the most of you who does is because you do it out of fear. Fear, there's a culture that do it out of fear, not because of idiot, but of fear. Fear to be tormented, fear to be plagued with bad luck. If they do not care to visit the grave, to offer them offerings, and even, yeah, to remember them, you see. So not everybody cares. People nowadays are just, they are living like they are living a nightmare, because is this exactly what we are living, a nightmare nowadays? No, and this is life, you see. So we live this nightmare every day, and then we have no time to think of others who have passed away. And for some, that's good, because they think that if we think so much of the dead, then we will be tormented by them, and we will somewhat invoke them, or kind of attract them to rise. But I do not think so. That's not how it happens anyway. Whether the more you don't care, the more plugged you are, the more influenced by them you are. Unless you are certain that this person died in peace. And death is like a nightmare or a dream, except that in the dream or nightmare you wake up. And the death, no, during the phase when you are still with the mind, not the brain's not mind. When you are still acting open the mind before your body decomposes before 40 days, then you will still create with your mind, and then depend upon your thoughts, your belief system. It will be either a nightmare or a dream, but one that you cannot wake up for a long time unless and until you let go of your mind. It's not you. And you think that this mind, ego is you, but it's not. You need to let go of it to move on after death. So the value of a person is often distinct only after he or she dies. Not every time. I disagree, because many people, even after death, they are not even remembered. And I have a say for it. It's like, what matters is not death, but what it takes away from us. It takes the remembrance, sometimes the dignity. See, a not so nice person, a ungrateful person, a selfish person, a non-loving person will not care, especially so when a mother, a father, a sister, a brother dies. They do not care. They are just immersed in their own world, their own cocoon which they has created around them. They don't care. We tend to take him or her for granted. Yeah, and they take for granted in life, and especially so death. They say, "Oh, die, finish, go away, get out, okay, finish." When the death knell sounds and we are left staring at the dead body of the person we lived with for so long, we are so devastated and clueless that relatives, friends, and neighbors have to come and take charge of what to do with the dead body. Not always. Some people just don't care. They do it mechanically wise. And after that, they will just go about their business. However, decisions about disposal of the body, funeral, and other rites and rituals are not to be taken by public opinion, established norms, especially when you want to give your best to your loved one, at least in his or her death. There's spiritual science involved in each of the acts to be performed after death. If you want the departed soul to start the journey of the afterlife happily without remaining attached to earthly life and without distraction from negative spirits waiting to catch hold of the clueless soul, then you need to be aware of what to do and what not to do. Hence, it is important to understand the subject beforehand, so that when calamity strikes, you are well prepared. Presented here is a collection of articles that I aim to educate you on the subject. I have a relative who passed away, a brother to be precise. He was 21 years old. He died in 73. I was about 8 years old then when he passed away. And I didn't see them with any ghost or any other companion. He was alone. And he followed me for one whole decade, until 83, when he finally, for some reason, decided to move on. I don't know, because my mother offered him a lot of prayers every time, and he eventually moved on, but he was with me all the time. Wow, long 10 years, and he would give me a lot of strength, a lot of physical and mental strength. So I do not agree with that, and that was then. I don't know right now, but then I don't think that every soul just die because they are buried and go and get in company of bad ghosts over there, bad spirit, and do stupid thing. I do not think. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope so. But based on my own experiences, I don't know. Maybe. And I have also relative whose father had passed away, and it kept on tormenting them. The son drank just like the father and behaved like the father and beat up his wife just like the father did to his mother. See? So it's really, yeah, it's very serious, the subject. Cremation versus burial. Dead bodies are commonly disposed of in methods recommended by religious communities. However, the need is to choose the best method as revealed by spiritual research, because methods of disposal have far-reaching consequences on the departed soul. Yeah, can be. Tell those poor souls who are forgotten, who are forgotten, die without relatives, without family to take care of, and they just roam around. They are so pitiful, and sometimes, yeah, they get into trouble if demons are out and do stupid things and influence people to drink, take drug, to fight, to be evil, to be bad. Yeah, it's all can happen. People often tell children what to do, our sons and daughters what to do with their ashes after they die. Sons and daughters should have their choices regarding what to do with their parents' ashes. I don't think so. I think that everybody has their only right to tell what to do with their dead body. But everyone should educate themselves about the spiritually correct way to disperse ashes so as to benefit the departed soul on its onward journey. So let's see here. See this perspective. The way we go about scattering the ashes of our loved ones after they are cremated either helps them in the afterlife or obstructs their onward journey. Spiritual research conducted has shown that immersing ashes in water alone can benefit our ancestors. This article provides information on the reasons behind the spiritually correct methods to be adopted, right from the collection of ashes to its final disposal. It's all relative. But again, I guess that by burying the body full, whole, it gives more rise to that body to be used by unscrupulous evil societies, whereby they desecrate that tomb and they steal that body. Sometimes if a new corpse, they will commit necrophilia, rape, necrophilia, the necrophilic way, and they will use that for black magic, for sorcery, for pills, and also as a part of initiation in some black magic process or initiation. They will eat part of that corpse, eat, literally eat. And that's a very satanic thing. And if you do the cremation, chances are that they cannot do it, and that body will be more safe. And when this happen, this happen to that corpse over there in the cemetery, what will happen? That corpse will turn to a zombie. He will turn to a zombie, and he will do as his master, that is now his master, takes that body hostage and that soul and that corpse, whatever, and turn it into a worker, the devil's worker, and that soul will just do as the master tells them to. It becomes literally a zombie, and that's very bad, very, very bad. for the soul, and that person itself is going to hell. That person who do it, the sorcerer, will go to hell. Introduction to Scattering Ashes. Nowadays, there is an increasing trend of people choosing cremation over burial and the funeral rite. That's better. The funeral rite of cremation that takes place either in a funeral pyre or in a crematorium does not dispose of the body totally. The remains are commonly known as ashes and are handed back to the family in a urn. The entire process from receiving the ashes to the scattering of the ashes is important from a spiritual point of view. Depending on the process adopted, it can either help our departed loved ones to move on in their afterlife, or we may be instrumental in their remaining earthbound. However, the surviving relatives who receive the ashes in a crematorium urn are generally unaware of the spiritually correct way of scattering the ashes. In the article on what's the spiritual perspective of cremation, burial, and body consumed by vultures, we described how the corpse could be attacked by ghosts, thus impeding the progress of a subtle body after death. The ashes after cremation represent the last vestige of the person. The ashes, therefore, have the same frequencies as that of the departed ancestor. We know that we can medically identify a decomposed body that is beyond recognition by techniques such as DNA testing, etc. Because even a small remnant of a tooth or hair matches exactly to the person. Similarly, at a subtler, intangible level, the smallest remnant of the corpse, even in the ashes, has the same frequencies and vibrations as the person, because they are molecularly integrated. These frequencies are generally negative in nature, because the part of the eyes which is a bit demonic is not quite eyes, because our conscience goes, once they come out from this body, this is a prison. It goes away, the conscience goes away, but the party, that's the avatar, the John, the Mary, the Kamal, the Chandra, the Shinshon, the Milin, is all an avatar. It's a personality used to live in here, to experience the matrix. However, when we are go, we don't need anymore that thing. That thing become perturbed and it become incomplete. You see, without the body, without the mind, it will become incomplete. Without conscience, it will become incomplete, and it will may cause more harm than good if it remain around here. Although if they want to, we cannot do nothing, because maybe they are afraid to move on. We cannot also 100% blame that poor entity. He's lost. He's not complete. He's confused, and he cannot discriminate what's wrong or right after he come out of this body. As 50% of the population is below 30% spiritual level, the frequencies emanating from the body are the subtle basic Rajatama frequencies. It's just the avatar, it's called Rajatama. Also, as 100% of the population is affected by ghosts, demons, devils, negative energies, etc. The frequencies emanating from the body and ashes are of the Tama variety. As a result, they are distressing to us at the subtle level. There is also a subtle bond that exists between the ashes and the departed ancestor because of the similar frequencies. These frequencies and subtle bond can be used by ghosts to create obstacles in the subtle body journey after death. By creating obstacles in the onward journey in the afterlife, ghosts D and D, another D, 2D, by the way, negative energy, etc., capture and then end up controlling the subtle body. That's true. This enables them to trouble the subtle body or make it do many undesirable acts as per their bidding. And they also here on the incarnate people. They do get out rapes, killing of mothers and their children, of anybody, um, wars and all kind of evil things, all kind of barbaric things. This is all demonic nature, like troubling others. In almost all cases where the ancestor is at bound, they end up troubling their descendants after they reach there. In this article, we present the spiritual research undertaken to identify the spiritual most beneficial method to be adopted from the time the cremation ashes are received to the final scattering of the ashes. The primary purpose is to help the departed ancestor move on in the afterlife with minimum negative impact on the surviving relatives. As explained above, the ashes of any person who is not a saint, I have to be a saint, is usually high in the subtle basic Rajatama component. Any contact with it adds to the subtle basic Rajatama component in us and can be a cause for distress. Hence, it is advisable to scatter ashes immediately after collecting them. Bringing the ashes into the house also increases the attachment of the departed ancestor's subtle body and makes it more earthbound instead of hastening its momentum in the afterlife. If for some reason the scattering of ashes cannot be done immediately, the sealed urn is best kept outside the house, tied to a tree. A cemetery will be better. How long should you wait before scattering cremation ashes? If the cremation was done on a funeral pyre, the ashes are generally collected on the third day. This is because it takes approximately 3 days for the embers to completely die down, the ashes to completely die down. If the cremation is done in a crematorium, the ashes are available the next day itself. Whatever the method of cremation, the sooner one goes about scattering the ashes, the lesser is the negative impact of the Rajatama frequencies. In some cases, relatives residing overseas who could not make it for the funeral want to be part of the ritual of scattering of ashes. Here too, one has to weigh the spiritual benefit to the ancestor and preventing distress to oneself by scattering the ashes immediately versus the emotional gratification of the relatives. What is spiritually the best way to go about scattering ashes from a crematory urn? Immersion of ashes in water. After the body is cremated, immersion of the ashes in water is spiritually the best way of disposing of the ashes. The reasons for this are as follows, and the sea salt is better. It's easier for ghosts, D or other D's negativity energies to gain control of the ashes in the subtle body and misuse it. This is especially so when they find the ashes all together in one place in the ground. By immersing the ashes in water, they are dispersed and hence unavailable to the ghosts in a collected form to gain control of. You can also disperse on the ground, then disperse into the ground. As water is all assimilation, it imbibes the distressing vibration remaining from the dead body and the ashes in the other absolute cosmic principles relate to the subtle body like absolute earth, Prithvi, fire, ash, air, vayu element. This helps to break the remaining attachment of the subtle body to its gross body or the dense body on the earth region. As a result, the probability of the subtle body getting stuck in the earth region as well as that of it being attacked by ghosts is dramatically reduced. The demerit sins of the past add to the subtle basic Rajatama frequencies of the ashes. By scattering the ashes of the deceased in the water, the demerits Rajatama frequencies related to the demerits are washed into the water. That's rubbish. We don't have sin. This is no sense. We come here, do our part, as long as we don't kill, don't rob, we don't do much harm to people, we do not have sin, man. So all nonsense superstition, religion superstitious. I don't fall for it. Sea water is the best for disposal of ashes. This is because sea water has the maximum all assimilating property among all types of water. Amongst other waters, but the sea water has a lot of aliens and demons deep down there on the seabed. A lot of demons because the sea is a portal for the netherworld. Amongst other water, holy rivers are the best. Holy rivers are those rivers whose waters have a high content of subtle basic satya component. For example, in rivers like the Ganges in India, the subtle basic satya component is high in the bacteria as well. Take even the ghosts are scared of the bacteria in there. In general, flowing water is the best, and it scatters the ashes to make it near impossible for the ghosts to gain control on the subtle body through the ashes. Everywhere have demons, and the sea also have what? So, what should one do if the urn after immersing the ashes in the sea? As the ashes are collected in the urn gets charged if the vibration in the ashes. Keep the urn or use it later can give the rise distress of the distress frequency of most ashes as explained above. Hence the best to immerse the urn in water. Burial of the ashes. Some cultures prescribe burial ashes after cremation. They also argue that body is a temple of God and therefore should be buried instead of cremated. That's true. As explained above, burying the ashes in an urn makes it easy target for the ghost. I don't believe so. The seabed also have demons. So now what? Demons, they have negative energy. It's much easier for them to gain control of the subtle body of the departed ancestor. At a spiritual level, the adverse effect of the ashes on the subtle body is identical to that of burying the body, albeit slightly less intensity. I don't believe. Those burial of a corpse, burial of the ashes, highly character. No. To the earth we are made, to the earth we should return. I'm so sorry. To Gaia Earth. Considering the number of burials so far over the century and those to come, it's all a matter of perspective. It was best you think that suits you, in your cultures whatsoever. It doesn't matter where you are disposed of after your death. And we came from the earth, and the earth shall we return. It's evident that everybody has to face the consequences of the increase of subtle basic raja dhamma vibration generated through this incorrect. No. It's something fishy around here. Where there is an overall rise in the Rajatama vibrations on earth, there is increase in natural disasters, wars, terrorism, social unrest. I see. Yeah, could be because the earth is Gaia. I think it's also, I don't know. I'm not gonna tell right now, but it's something that's so good anyway. Keeping ashes in jewelry. Some people make cremation jewelry by placing a lock of hair, a dried flower from the funeral ashes, etc., in a locket pendant bracelet. By doing this, we harm the ancestor by increasing his worldly attachment to causing an impediment to his onward journey in the afterlife and making him earth-bound. The act of wearing the ashes itself causes a high level of attachment to me is the following. Take a place, burn that body, and then bury it mixed with the ash. I want to do that. No need to see. The sea is a lot of demon there. Don't need to see. The only thing that is good about the sea is about the salt water, which takes away a lot of negativity. The act of wearing the ashes itself causes a high level of attachment to the subtle body of the departed ancestor for the decedent in their previous life on earth. Exposing him to the risk of attack by ghosts. Cremation jewelry is harmful to us, as we expose ourselves to the subtle basic raja and the ashes ultimately and over an extended period of time. We expose ourselves to the risk of being affected by the subtle body of the ancestor, as well as the ghost who may be in control of the ancestor's subtle body through the ashes. Let's see. The ghost is a part of the avatar that you already got. Scattering ashes by a plane of favorite place. It's best to scatter ashes quietly and without much fuss, fanfare as a sign of respect to the dead, and also to keep its worldly attachment to the minimum. As explained above, it's best to scatter ashes in water. No. I prefer the earth. Burying the earth is better. Who should perform the rite of scattering of the ashes? Why should earthquake all this be provoked by the dead body when we come ashes? When we come from the earth, what causes earthquake is another thing, is the demons below, is the dragons and all that. Nothing to do with dead body or a dead animal. That's nonsense. Who should perform the rite of scattering of the ashes? Anybody can scatter the ashes. Usually it's the next of kin who does it. It's best that only a single person does it to limit contact with the ashes and keep it to the minimum. What material should be created? Okay, blah 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 blah. Earthenware or earthenware or for collection storing ashes. Pretty about design. Okay. It's recommended that the pet's ashes too be immersed in water for the same reasons above. No, I don't think so. Should go to the earth. Some people have expressed their desire to bury their pet dog or cat's ashes along with the ashes. Spiritual research indicates that this is highly detrimental. It's because they are holding on to attachments, thus increasing the possibility of remaining earth-bound. So pets' ashes are more predominant than human ashes. Oh, that is deep and strong. Okay, process of typical. After a loved one dies, many people are unsure what they should do with their belongings. The purpose of this article is to provide a guide to the surviving relatives. At a principal level, we can keep a few things in mind. The actions we take with regard to belongings of the deceased need to help them reduce their attachments and help them move on in the afterlife. The vibrations of the deceased person remain in their belongings that they leave behind. It's true. Death of a person means an increase in subtle basic Tama component in the environment, the energy. If there was associated with illness leading to death, the subtle basic Tama component is further accentuated. In addition to this, if the deceased was suffering distress by ghosts, demons, and negative energy before, at the time of death, or after, The person who uses the dead person's belongings is likely to suffer corresponding amount of distress as well. The following are some of the things one can do after a relative has died to help the deceased break his attachment to his belongings and to protect oneself from the distressing effect on the subital basic Dhamma frequencies emanating from the belongings. I think they should burn their belongings or bury them if it no problem. However, I know that the things that leave behind is not to be used by the living. It's best to burn the clothes worn by the deceased at the time of his death and at the time of the cremation burial, as they affect the most by the distressing subital basic Dhamma frequencies. The ashes can be immersed in the sea, sprinkle holy water plus holy ash all over the dead person's room. So we have to reduce the Dhamma component that's generated in the atmosphere at the time of death. Tell people who die with a lot of anger and rage. The whole family can chant the spiritual chant of Sri Guru Datta. Chant can also be prayed continuously at a low volume in the dead person's room. By continuously play the chant for about a year, the premises is purified and subital body of the deceased also gains momentum in its onward journey in afterlife. There's many ways. Each one has their own way. For items the deceased ones were attached to, it's best to give them to a deceiving spiritual organization. Help people realize their true spiritual purpose in life. For items that the deceased was not much attached to, family members may use them after a period of 6 months, by which time the vibration of the dead person will have been removed due to the purification by the spiritual chant. Pictures of the deceased should be taken down in the house. Having the picture of dead relatives in the house fuels their attachment for their previous earthly life and their previous family. This in turn impedes their progress in their onward spiritual journey. Some cases it makes the departed ancestor bound in their home. I don't think so. It's all relative what you want. Some people like to keep their dead mother, their dead sister, their brother, their father. So what? Let them. They still are attached to them. They still love them. So why don't keep them with you? No problem also. For me, I don't care. My sister passed away in this year, in April, and all because she didn't. I mean, she get very angry because of some matter if the caring of my mother graveyard, because my mother passed away 11 years ago, and I since I'm not there, I'm miles and miles away from where my mother passed away. I asked them to take care of her grave and pay the cemetery tax every year, and I finance that. I give the money. I don't just talk, I give. I act therapy. So I give to one sister. Usually I give to that sister who registered, another sister, the fifth older sister. I got 5 older sisters. One passed away, the 4th older one, number 4. The number 5 I asked her to do. She has been doing until she decided she don't want to do anymore. So I asked the number 4, and she got so angry. She was the one living with my mother, and she got so angry. And I told her to be careful. Be careful for all this about not taking care of the ancestors, not taking care of my mother's grave. Since I'm not there, what I can do, the most I can do is just to finance her grave, that's it, and to pay respect to my mother's memory, and to pay the taxes which month I give, which month I give. You see, whose month I give, the month I finance. So she went by. She went to pick up the money. She paid the taxes, the cemetery taxes. She go send the flower, all that, and she got so angry over that. She got so angry, you know, and start to say things and that she got so tired. This and that. I say, but our mother got even more tired, guys. And sincerely, I cry every time that I see that you are so ungrateful towards our mother after all she did to us. I'm the youngest of 9. Two of them passed away. One passed away when I was 8 years old. He was 21 years old, a brother. And this one now in this year. So I told her that was last year. See, last year. So I told her to be careful, and she got angry. I don't know, for one reason or another. I couldn't talk to her anymore because whenever I called her, the telephone will just hang up, or her account was hacked, and I couldn't keep on contact with her anymore. So I just give up after I SMS her, and I say a lot of things that was in my mind. I told her that I pity my mother for having such a grateful brothers and sons and daughters, and that the only one who cared a lot for my mother couldn't do much except um, advise the oldest one to take care of our mother memory and grave. So time passed, nobody anymore contacted me, and suddenly in April this year I received a message from the sister number 5 saying that my sister number 4 was dying, was between life and death at the hospital. She had multiple organ failure, and she asked me to pray for her. Yeah, I did pray. I did ask the best for her because I wish the best for her. No matter what, I still loved her. No, I still love her, and uh, I did my best. All I did, I asked forgiveness. I asked the sister number 5 to go to tell her that I will forgive her for anything she has done, and that she forgive me too for anything I have done that may have hurt her. And I don't know whether she passed the message or not. However, I did my part, you see. So what happened? 1 week passed, she in coma, and on the 5th day that she was in coma, I saw a moth. A moth enters the home and start to hovering over me. The whole night, because I like to sleep late, the whole night this moth stay hovering around me, and I knew that that was my sister's soul. I knew it. I felt it, and I felt that she will not make it for that day. And right on, and the next morning, I found the moth dead in a pool of in the pail of water inside the bathroom, in a basin of water to be precise. And I knew she was gone. And then when I come online, my sister told me she's gone. She didn't make it. She didn't even wake up from coma. And I say, yeah, I knew already. I know she came last night in the form of a moth. And she was with me the whole night long. And time passed by. After that, I saw her again. She came to me, and all in white with the hair all gray and long, and she was in the company of this being, this jaguar creature, gray color. It's a cat man, and they salute me. She looked at me. She wanted to cry. She looked at me very, very sad. I also looked at her, and I knew that I knew her. I knew that person, and I knew it was my sister soul who came to wave me goodbye. And then I saluted her with the right hand, and both her and the the jaguar creature also salute me, and they move on, went away. And after that, I saw her a third time, She was in a lonely beach. She couldn't walk properly. She was very sick and very weak. And I saw her. I said, "Oh my God, you are so weak. Let me carry you." She said, "I need to go down this staircase, but I can't. I'm too weak. I'm too sick." I said, "Let me carry you." So I carried her. She was too light for me. I carried her. It didn't matter how high up that staircase was, that flight of stairs was on the beach, but I did help her until the end, the bottom of the staircase. And when I touched her back, it was just skeleton. By then she was already totally skeleton, but still I didn't felt no fear. I felt nothing. I just felt the urge to help her, and the love inside my heart, the love and the pity. And I wish so much to help her even more than that. And I helped her. I was glad that I did. And then months passed again, and then I saw her this time outside the window of my sister's bedroom. And she was very angry, very, very angry, and I didn't know why. And then she was talking about her middle son, because she has 3 sons. The middle son and my brother, which her son's uncle, and my sister. She talked. She said these people are terrible, and I just listened to her, and yeah, I agreed with her, but I asked her to just don't care about them and move on. Don't worry, move on with her life, or maybe life after that, and don't care about this thing, and go in peace. And before she left the window, she told me, I died, or as she said, I hated to live in this life, in this earth. I really hated. I have a very wretched kind of life. I have a terrible life. I suffered a lot. I suffered a lot, and I don't like to go back here anymore. And no matter how much I I will come to suffer the other life in the other side, I still prefer 100 times the other side than this side. And that goes to you too. You are suffering a lot. Why you keep on like this? Just let it go. I say no. It's okay. It's okay. I know when it's time for me to go. And you please take care of yourself. Go in peace. I love you. I love mother. And please go. And as she went away, then I closed the window. And this really happened to me. And after that, she no more came again. I don't know what happened to her. And right on, when she told me, when I come online, my sister number 5 was complaining about our nephew that was quarrel with the house that my mother has left for them. And then my brother was um, uh, how to say it, she was contest that the house be sold, because the sister son want to sell the house, and my brother the one, because my brother have more rights. So I served as an intermediate to make peace to these people. So I put all in order. I asked them this and that they must respect the elderly and his uncles, the elderly, and that he start to say bad things about his mother. Say, don't say that to my sister, that she's your mother. Okay, your sister, she was not saying nobody is here, nobody's perfect. And your sister, whatever she has done that hurt you, your mother, whatever she has done, she's still your mother. And she has suffered a lot, and she paid her due. Please don't say that to your mother, and learn to forgive her. And from there on, he no more talked to me, and neither did the other sister number 5. And I told them to leave her alone, because her spirit was not in peace because of those people that she left behind, except with me, because she knew all my heart and soul that they still can count on me, my dead mother, my brother, my sister. Whenever somebody passed on, they come to me for advice, for help, and I'm always here to assist them whatever I can, and I'm very happy. So I do not agree the way how they treat the dead, even here in this article. I do not agree because the dead still has feelings. It must be respected. Trova the decision blah, 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 blah. So I don't believe, I don't agree with that because the dead also has feelings. You must respect them. I know through experiences, my mother, my sisters, my sister, my brother. So this one another nonsense because what's wrong? I wanted to kiss my mother, my sister before they were buried. I don't find nothing wrong with that. It's all in your mind. It's all in your soul, in your intentions. Losing a loved one is traumatic experience for anyone. Sometimes people who are emotionally upset hug and kiss the body of the deceased. This may, however, be harmful for both the person and the subtle body of the deceased. I see nothing wrong. The proportion of excretory gas expelled from the dead body is high. Yeah, but still, in the love for them is even higher. So I see nothing wrong with it. Hence, the area around the dead body is charged with distressing frequencies. Depend if they died in peace, no way. This negatively charged area is conducive to the functioning of ghosts, these and bodies and negative energies, therefore increasing the activity. By kissing the hand or forehead of the dead body, the distressing frequencies on the skin of the dead body can enter the person. I don't think so. As the immediate area is charged with distressing frequencies, the person who goes to kiss the dead body also gets charged with the distressing frequencies and runs the risk of being severely affected by ghosts, these negative energies, etc. If the person who kisses the dead body is affected or possessed by ghosts, then through the medium of his touch, the ghosts in him can enter the dead body and take control of the body. They can then trouble its subtle body, thereby creating obstacles in its onward journey. They are saying that because when we die, every cadaver, every corpse has bad energies hovering around them. Usually aliens, the regressive type ones, or the Ds. They hovering around to suck the last energy that this body may contains, because it takes about 40 days to totally dispels this energy which our body have. You see, so these entities, they suck our energy like they would suck water from a straw. Just that's why they are saying that, but it has nothing to do with the ghost, with the bad per se, but what is around it which we do not see. You see, and I don't know. You just have to take a risk. I think that love conquers all in the end. I will not mind. I will kiss again, again, again my mother, my sister, because I loved them. People involved with the funeral by necessity need to touch the body of the deceased and to prepare it for funeral rites. This a professional has said, so what? But still somebody have to do it. I think this person is very negative. You see this all in the negative way, but it don't have to be this way. That's nonsense, man. It's all about religion. You are just live your life by fears, operating through the level of fears. In a love conquers all. Just remember this: loves conquer all. Good evening, C2. What's the effect of keeping objects in the coffin? Another superstition. I see nothing wrong if the dead wanted that. So what's better to do their will? The favorite object of the dead person kept in the coffin are attacked by ghosts in the same way as the corpse is attacked. So there is robber and the graveyard among the ghosts there is robber as well. Must be this people mentality kind of thinking. This includes even dressing up to the dead body in their favorite clothes as nabis. The subtle sorcerers can use this object to do black magic. They do it with the body itself. Also, as the vibration of the person are more in those objects, the subtle body, instead of attaining onward momentum, is attracted again and again to the coffin because of prior attachment to those objects, and then finally starts residing in it. That's true. Due to being earth-bound, the subtle body of the deceased ancestor falls prey to other Tamasi subtle bodies in the graveyard, and also to ghosts, and it comes under their control and becomes a medium for their activities. Therefore, while the act of keeping something special in the coffin may be done with the best intentions, it's most likely to be harmful for the subtle body or the deceased. Instead of moving out of the earthy region, the subtle body gets stuck in its favorite objects. As the subtle body becomes more earthy bound, it gets easily controlled by ghosts and suffers immense agony. Besides being trapped by ghosts, he also gets stuck in the cycles of birth and death. If we go also to the light, you're also gonna get trapped in the cycle of birth and death. So there's no escape. We can hide but cannot escape, and we can escape but cannot hide. For this series, it's best not to add anything into the coffin, not even flowers. Also, in the case of burial, it's best to dress the body in white and simple clothes. Go naked or skin. But for dress up, let's go naked. What's the effect of a kiss? Okay. What's to wear to a funeral? This one maybe I I agree because black sometimes from a spiritual perspective is best for people to wear any spiritually pure color to a funeral. It's preferable to wear lighter colors such as white and pale blue to a funeral, and they are more scientific. Wearing black funeral attire is common in many societies and cultures. However, because the black symbolizes mourning, symbolizes death and distress. However, from a spiritual perspective, it's most likely to be detrimental to both the family and the person who has passed away. Since the color black is in nature, it has maximum capacity to attract and transmit negative and distressing frequencies in the environment to the extent of 70%. This means out of all the possible negative vibrations, ghosts included, that there can be in the environment, the color black can attract up to 70% of them. Yeah. Along with this, the surviving relatives who are mourning are generally in a depressed state, which adds to the Rajatama frequencies in the environment. Look at the priest goes in white and the rest in black. Why the priest goes in white? There's a reason, huh? And he never tells the people. The combination of these two factors makes it conducive for ghosts to possess the mourner through the medium of his black cloth is true and weakened emotional state. As a result, the overall increase in Rajatama, which affects the subtle body of the deceased increases its distress and impedes its onward journey in the afterlife. On the other hand, wearing white colored clothes to a funeral repels the Rajatama frequencies and attracts sattvic frequencies. This makes it less conducive for ghosts to possess Mona and give the subtle body of the deceased any distress. The continued wearing of black throughout the period of mourning only makes matters worse and also prolongs the state of depression. It's true. The negative vibrations of black continue to retard the progress of ancestors and aid the activity of ghosts. The subtle bodies of the deceased ancestor, those who cannot move forward in the journey in subtle realms, stay in the family's homes. They can cause problems for the surviving members of the family. The problems that they can cause are a plea for spiritual assistance to help them move on in the afterlife. Yeah. There is this story that happened in Brazil. The sons passed away and the mother mourned, which is natural, which mother don't love the son or daughter. So she would cry and cry and cry and stop mourning her son. And one night she dreamed that he came to her and asked her to stop crying because his what you call it, cloth, the cloth that he was wearing, his afterlife cloth of the subtle body, which was all white, was all wet from the mother's tears. So after she stopped crying, he stopped coming to her. According to spiritual science, all rituals and functions associated with the last rites of a person should be designed with the objective of helping the subtle body of the deceased in his onward journey. Activities that have the potential to increase the attachment of the subtle body of the deceased to his or her previous life on earth are best avoided. It's common funeral etiquette in today's world to have a funeral reception. Here the relatives and well-wishers gather at the home of the deceased immediate family members to pay their respects and offer condolences with regard to the recent death. Invariably, food is served and discussion takes place over the life of the deceased. From a spiritual science perspective, this can be highly detrimental for the people involved as well as for the subtle body of the deceased. Most people in today's world are Rajatama predominant and have a lot of ego, desires and attachments. When Rajatama predominant people pass away, their attachments and desires have the potential to make the subtle body linger after death and hence be unable to move on in the afterlife. When we speak about the dead person, subtle basic Rajatama vibrations associated with the person are transmitted through the talk. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong. Let it come, so what? Due to these vibrations, the subtle body of the dead person is pulled to the premises again and again and is loitered in the environment. So, this is according to a rule of spiritual science that says the word, touch, form, taste, smell, and its associated energy coexist. Here the word refers to the person's name and the form refers to the subtle body. Talking about the dead person generates energy associated with him, which pulls the subtle body in the field of the discussion. What's the spiritually correct way to pay one's respects to the recently departed? In view of the above principle, paying of our respect to as well as grieving for the departed needs to be done, taking care not to add on to the Rajata Mauridi presented the premises. But give an example of what activities increase Rajatama. In addition, one should preclude all activities that should pull the subtle body of the departed back towards the earth region. Hence, large gatherings talk loudly and talking at length about the departed are best avoided. Instead of talking about the person, it's best to be introverted upon returning from the funeral, chanting the spiritual protection, chanting. Possible distress by ghost. All objects, including the food in the house of the dead person affected by subtle basic Tama predominant, it must be in the house. Partake of Sanchirajatama polluted food increase the possibility of the person eating being affected by ghosts. What's the spiritual perspective when partake food in the house of the departed? Given the above, it's best to serve refreshments in the house of the departed upon returning from the funeral. Even for the relatives in the house, food should not be cooked or prepared in the house at least till the day the dead body is buried or cremated. Relatives, neighbors, or friends can provide the food to the family of the deceased. Food should be partaken only after spiritually purified by sprinkling holy water. Plain weather for death of possibility. So also we shouldn't till 1 year after the death of our our relatives to marry, cannot marry or holding on things like Christmas, like Deepavali, like festival, whatever, cannot till 1 year. And I think that is a sign of respect. Yeah, I wouldn't do this either. So it's not good for marriage or holding festival, whatever. 1 year after the death of a relative. Is the time of our death predestined? All of us has to do some point, and this is decided per our destiny. There are some predestined time periods in our lives in which death can occur and spare our destiny. The following table gives more details on this period and persons. And also you have small death. You know that accident where you don't die, that illness see when you don't die, that one's also small death, is more chances for us to make amends for any wrong things that we wrong attitude towards our mother, father, whatever, sisters, brothers. Okay, time of death according to time, probably death. 700% possible preventing death. Generally occur in a person's life once and lasts for 2 weeks. Ghost influence, yes. Do certain rituals prescribed by scripture. Death. The following factors influence whether a person can die during his her predestined probable death or the death time period. Give and take account. The amount of give and take account pending if people net that can be settled if the person does not die. The give and take account that is remaining a person's destiny for his current life is also an important factor that decides whether he dies before the definitive death stage. That's something to do with our illness or accident which we don't die. Departed ancestors and ghosts. The influence of departed ancestors and ghosts may sometimes bring about early death. Yeah, it can happen. I believe so because it happened to my sister. The type and intensity of spiritual practice helps a person avoid early death. And sometimes because they see that that person is suffering here, so they just want to ease our pain in here and take us away from here. It's not because they have bad intentions. No, they don't have bad intentions. If they are in their true mind and see, they don't have bad intentions to others. Spiritual practice. The type and intensity of spiritual practice helps a person avoid early death. Example, before the stage of definite death. When the stage of definite death arrives, it means that a person has completed his or her destiny for the current lifetime on the earth plane of existence and to continue journey in the afterlife. So that's it for now, and later we go for afterlife. What happened after life according to these ideologies. However, I know more or less what happens, and we nothing to do with religion or whatever.